товарної спілки індустріал. Кемаль, слово за тобою.
Good morning, my sisters, brothers, dear guests, representatives of governments, representatives of intergovernmental agencies, representatives of employees, and great people of Ukraine. And let me first express our great happiness, honor to be here in Kiev. Kiev is the capital of the country, Ukraine, where courageous people, heroes, are fighting for their country, for their independence, for their sovereignty, for their peace, for their democracy, for their prosperity. And on behalf of two organizations, Industrial Global Union and Industrial European Trade Union, we reiterate our staunch support and solidarity to Ukraine, to its people, to its workers, to its unions in their fight for democracy, sovereignty, under the very difficult circumstances of war, occupation, and aggression. And let me make a statement here that trade unions of this country have shown a historical exemplary work during the war. And they have taken all the risks. They have taken all the responsibility to save, to protect their countries. And I can tell you that this exemplary work from trade unions in Ukraine is recognized, respected by the whole international trade union movement. And in the presence of everyone, I want to tell that I really express my great appreciation, gratitude to the great work of trade unions in Ukraine. So I'm sitting in between two great leaders, President of FPU, Grigory Osovyi, and President of KVPU, Mikhailo Volinets. And I know that with their leaderships, they defend this country in any circumstances, in each and every international environment, to make sure that this country comes to peace and protects itself. From that point of view, I think one of the very critical messages from yesterday, from trade union session, that trade unions are important, critical actors for today's and future of Ukraine. So this is why it is very much fair to expect that so they are respected, they are supported, and they are given the enabling environment where they are able to operate. And I believe this is something important that I really want to say. Indeed, we are fighting for peace, for democracy, for human rights, for workers' rights. And this is why our international union movement, European trade union movement, we are very much united, unified on the case of Ukraine. And it is not just the responsibility of Ukrainian trade unions, but it is also the responsibility of the unions in Europe and elsewhere in the world to make sure that this country continues to be a sovereign, democratic, prosperous country. So this is why whatever message we bring to this meeting is for the high benefits of Ukraine. And our main objective is to make sure that we serve to a country where people, particularly workers, live under decent living and working conditions. This is our overarching objective, and then we believe that as the trade unions, we think about this, we strategize this, and then we work on this. And this is why the main message here that trade unions, we are ready to work for this country all together, with the sense of solidarity, with the sense of unity. And at this point, my dear the friends, guests, and I can tell you that it is very important that we protect the workers' rights, human rights in this country. And together with intergovernmental agencies, we have already started a process, and with the involvement of trade unions, on my 13 affiliates in this country, to make sure that international agencies, international tools are serving to this purpose. And indeed, when it comes to workers' rights, dear guests, dear participants, we have one important part in the temporarily occupied territories. Yesterday, we had a long session about this, and I can tell you that there is a huge bunch of violations against people out there. It starts from right to leave, and it goes to forced deportation, it goes forced work, and it goes the forced change of trade unions, torture, arbitrarily detention. This is why, at this point particularly, we need to be voice of those workers in those territories. And at this stage, we expect from intergovernmental agencies to take the necessary action. I think one of the very critical things is to keep these violations under record. And we do it. We do it, and we will continue to do it. Another important part as the union movement is the labor law change in this country. We have still difficulty in understanding why labor law change has been a priority in the country under the war circumstances where we need much more unity, and we would expect this would not be the priority for the parliament, for the government, but at the end we express our dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction over two things. The first part is the process, and as the unions we believe that social dialogue is the best instrument to be able to address the issues. And this is why when there is a labor law change or any change in social sphere, that needs to be done with the notion of social dialogue. And we observe that this process of social dialogue has not been well followed. So this is why, process-wise, we express our dissatisfaction. And the content-wise, it is important that any change is in line with the international standards and also with the European Union acquis communautaire, as well as good practices at international level. We have also quite observations that the recent labor law change is a bit far from catching up these international standards. And then we reiterate our view that we will continue to work on it. We put our hand to shake from our partners for dialogue, and at the end it is important that we create an environment in this country where the workers have protection. And this country has lost quite a number of people to outside, and if we expect them to return back, then they should be able to see that there is a proper environment in this country with high protection. If people see outside that there is less protection in the country, what would be the motivation and reason for them to return back? I think it is not beneficial for the country to make the labor law legislation less favorable to workers, and we need to be able to create this environment out there. And one last thing, the future. And I can announce here that trade unions in this country also care very much the future of the country, a democratic country, a prosperous country, with a sustainable economy. We are handling the issues today with a great success, but at the same time, we also work future-oriented. At this point, I want to raise two things. The first thing, as the unions, we have our own vision and perspective. We want that Ukraine has an economy with production, with industry. This country has a capability to be able to produce aircrafts, automobiles, equipment. It cannot be an economy just on the basis of the minerals. Like today, 75% of the exports are from minerals. This needs to change. This is why we are proposing an industrial policy with specific actions and policies on the sectors, manufacturing sectors, energy sector, coal sector, and we also want to have important policies, labor market and social protection. And another part, indeed there is a huge damage in the country. And the recent report shows more than 400 billion US dollars damage. And I presume this is very much optimistic. And this country needs investment. This country needs assistance. This country needs grants. But as trade unions, we believe that there must be social conditionalities on any aid, any assistance, any investment between Ukraine and international community, particularly with the European Union, based on fundamental worker and trade union rights and genuine social dialogue in the interest of Ukrainian people. So we want investment, but that investment must not be at the expense of workers' rights. We are against this idea. As trade unions, we are here. We want to contribute to the future of the country, but our red line is our fundamental rights. We do not want to make any compromise from this, and then we want to give this message to all international community, particularly to the conferences of reconstruction. It was not preferable that trade unions were not invited to the last conference in London, but we believe that next year when the conference is organized in Germany, I am sure that there will be a strong presence of trade unions with strong messages so that we reconstruct this wonderful country as it deserves much better than what it is today. So with these messages, Sergei, I just want to relay it to the plenary. And we are here to listen to each other, to make our voices, and also to contribute with our inputs to today and future of Ukraine. Thank you very much. Over back to you.